Konnichiwa, minasama. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the first installment of Tennessee Kitchen's Japanese Style, presented to you by the Japan America Society of Tennessee. My name is John Gale, and I will be your host and interpreter for today. 本日の司会、通訳の John Gale と申します。よろしくお願いします。And I'm just so excited to be here. On one level, just so excited to be interacting with people in general at all, but especially such a fine group of people excited about Japanese and Tennessee culinary culture. And I'm also excited to be joined today by the owner and chef of Ichiban Restaurant in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Makoto Fujiwara. Fujiwara-san, はい、よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。はい。And, はい。Okay. So, Ichiban Japanese Restaurant is located at 1831 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. That's where we're broadcasting from today. And it's really easy to get to, even if you're not in Murfreesboro. You just come to Murfreesboro on 24. Get off on the 840 exit, just take that to the Northwest Broadway exit, heading on to Murfreesboro, and then once you start to actually get into town, it's just right there on your right side. So really easy to find. And today is Saturday, August 29th of 2020, and they will be open today for dinner starting at 4:30 p.m. And so if you're like me and you're just missing that authentic Japanese food while we've been in quarantine, be sure to give Ichiban a call at 615-962-9884 to get your fix for that Japanese food craving. I'd like to give a shout out and thank you to the sponsor of the Japanese Kitchen's, Tennessee Kitchen's Japanese Style Series, the Mitsui USA Foundation. And I would also like to thank the sponsors and corporate partners of the Japan America Society of Tennessee that include Nissan, BNA, Bridgestone America's Trust Fund, Mitsui and Company, the Tennessee Economic and Community Development, Brother, Austin Peay State University, Baker Donaldson, BB&T Now Truist, Jack and Barbara Bovender, the Center for Nonprofit Management, Denso Manufacturing Tennessee, Humanities Tennessee, Clay and Kathy Jackson, Komatsu America, and T-Mobile. Thank you all for your support of the Japan America Society of Tennessee and its mission to bridge the relationship between Japan and Tennessee and to bring cultural events like this to you all. Now, what we were going to do for today's show, and I'll go ahead and put the ingredients up there, which I'm sure you looked at beforehand, but I'll give you a moment while I tell you about today's broadcast. We're going to work this kind of like a cooking show or a variety show that you would see on Japanese television. We already have a pre-recorded video today of Fujiwara-san and his assistant Ken-san and Becky, the staff here at Ichiban. They went ahead and made these Jack Daniel's baby back ribs with a Japanese twist. And we already have that pre-recorded video that we are going to broadcast to you over Zoom. And Fujiwara-san is going to walk us through it, and we'll provide commentary as to what's going on in the video. Now, when we broadcast this video, technically speaking, from our standpoint, we've got the appropriate bandwidth and everything, but what we found when testing this was that each user's experience was a little bit different depending on the broadband or internet speed in their home or how many devices you may have using that. And over Zoom, for some people, if you don't have the greatest connection or a lot of members of your family are using the internet, the video we broadcast could appear a little bit jumpy. So if that's a concern for you, to counter that, the video, the pre-recorded video, is available on YouTube, where you could go ahead and load that video, pause it, have it buffer, have it preload a little bit. YouTube will automatically adjust the resolution if it needs to, and that may provide a smoother video viewing experience depending on your connection at home. So that URL, that direct link to the YouTube video, should be available in the main chat here on Zoom. If you're not so Zoom proficient or you can't find that URL link in the chat, you can just go straight to YouTube and search for the Japan America Society of Tennessee and find their YouTube channel, and that will be the first video listed there. And of course, today's full presentation with the commentary and the pre-recorded demonstration will also be made available later on the Japan America Society of Tennessee's YouTube channel. So if you feel like you've missed out or anything, or you want to show this to a friend later, just send them to that YouTube video when it's been posted. Okay, so a quick review of all our ingredients here today, which hopefully you've got prepared at home. We have the 1 pound of the pork spare ribs, some salt and pepper, a ½ ounce of sake, 2 ounces of Jack Daniels, and flour. And I've been told that maybe some people don't have sake at home and you're thinking of substituting it for something else. I've been told that cooking wine actually does not go well with this recipe. So just in that case, leave the sake out or just use the Jack Daniels. And those are going to be the seasonings on the ribs. To make our special Japanese twist barbecue sauce, you need 1 ounce of sake, 1½ ounces of sugar, 2 ounces of soy sauce, 1 ounce of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of grated ginger, and 1 tablespoon of grated garlic. So hopefully you have all of that and you're ready to go. じゃあ、藤原さん、もうビデオ見ちゃいましょうか。はい。Okay, so we're going to start showing the video. One moment. はい。じゃあ、まず、リブの切り方ですね。We're starting with cutting the ribs. はい。Okay, so we're going to put the knife between the bone. Okay, and so we're cutting along side the bone, and we'll see here in the video in a moment. Fujiwara-san will flip it over and point to the bone right there on that side. So that's how we're going to be cutting the ribs. これは普通の baby back rib, super baby. Okay, just ordinary baby back ribs that you would get at the supermarket. Now, those of you who read the recipe beforehand may have gone ahead and boiled your ribs because that will be the next step. If that's what you've done, that's okay. If you've cut them a different way as you prefer, that's fine as well. じゃあ、この切り目は、okay. And so now what we see is Ken-san cutting a slit in the ribs that apparently makes them easier to eat once the whole process is said and done. And I know a lot of people out there might be interested in Japanese knives. I have friends who are really into the Japanese kitchen knives. The hocho はどんな包丁を使ってますか？日本の包丁は裂きやすいんですよね。Japanese knives can adjust easily. Okay, so even if you just have an ordinary stainless steel kitchen knife, that'll work for this. Okay. じゃあ、これから茹でますね。So now we're going to boil the ribs. So hopefully you've got your water boiling out there, or you've already completed this step. じゃあどのぐらい茹でますか？30分から45分ぐらいですね。Okay, so we're going to boil the ribs for about 30 to 45 minutes. じゃあ、お湯が沸騰してから火はどのぐらいですか？してからもう強火でOkay, and once you've got your water boiling on high heat, you can just leave the fire on high while those ribs boil for 30 to 45 minutes. And I understand maybe you could boil them longer if you wanted them to be more tender. So you could even boil them for up to 1 or 2 hours if you want a tenderness where the meat is just going to fall off the bone with a chopstick. And so here we have our ribs that have already been boiled for 45 minutes. Right? So okay. And first put sake on the ribs. Okay. So put the sake on, make sure that's nice spread around.塩こしょうもかけてますか? Okay. And also have salt and pepper on the ribs. And now we see Ken-san putting flour, breading the ribs with the flour, because the next step is we're going to fry these in the frying pan for just a little bit. Okay. And フライパンに入れるとき、何か注意が跳ねないように、油が跳ね返らないように、蓋はしてる。So there's a possibility, like with frying anything, but especially something that's been boiled like this, that when you put it in the oil in the frying pan, that oil can splatter back and burn you. So that's why we're getting these nice and covered with the flour. Before we put them in the frying pan to help prevent that. But do be careful out there if you're following along. Okay, and now we have the ingredients for our special Japanese twist barbecue sauce that we're taking with us. This is the 1 ounce sake, 1.5 ounce sugar, 2 ounces soy sauce, 1 ounce ketchup, 1 tablespoon grated ginger, and 1 tablespoon grated garlic. I'll carry all of this over to the frying pan. Okay. And what about the oil that you're using? Okay. So just ordinary vegetable oil. Okay. And you can put a good little bit in there. And also, what about the sake that you use? Sake no shurei to ga genmai Okay, so just ordinary sake or cooking sake is what we're using for this recipe. And じゃあスペアリブはどのぐらい食べますか? So what we're going to do is we're going to fry these ribs up just till we get sort of that golden brown fried color on each of the sides. じゃあ今火はどのぐらいですか? Okay, so right now in the video they have the heat on high, but you can start bringing that down to about medium heat. じゃあ炒めてからジャックダニエルを入れます。ね。Right. So once they get that golden brown fried color on there, we're going to add the Jack Daniels. For you folks following along at home, if maybe you're a little bit ahead of us, don't just go dumping a bunch of Jack into your frying pan. You're going to want to watch the video. You're going to want to watch the master chef do it first. See a little bit of technique to it, and also some things to be careful of. Do you use Jack Daniels in any other dish? Coconut or Jack Daniels? I could imagine that Jack really wouldn't mesh well with a fish, but any sort of meat dish. But maybe shellfish, like shrimp, would go. Okay. All right. So here we are about to add the Jack Daniels. So I want to be careful. There we go. That's why you want to watch the professional do it first. So be careful there in your own home. Okay. The Jack Danielを入れて、Okay. And so now we've turned the heat down to low heat. So, okay. So now we're going to cook this on low heat for about 1 or 2 minutes until the Jack Daniels gets evaporated and gets that scent, and gets the scent and the flavor of the Jack Daniels there into the ribs. And the recipe calls for 2 ounces of Jack Daniels, or about 1 shot. 先ほど測らず適当に入れたんですが、so he just poured it in, but got it just perfect. That's the professional. That's the master for you. And so now our ribs are coming out of the frying pan. Just put those aside on a plate. After we've got the Jack Daniels nice and evaporated. じゃあこれからはソースですね。Okay, so just leave the frying pan as it is and the heat on low like that. We're adding our ingredients. 順番は So no particular order of putting in the ingredients for the sauce. The 1 ounce sake, 1.5 ounce sugar, 2 ounces soy sauce, 1 ounce ketchup, 1 tablespoon grated ginger, 1 tablespoon grated garlic, and mixing that up to make it a nice liquid sauce right there. Okay. 砂糖を入れる。はい。Yeah, putting a little bit more sugar in there to sweeten it up, because that's who we are as Tennesseans. We like sweet tea. We like sweet stuff. It's who we are as a people. Okay. So I put in the ribs back in the sauce and turning the heat off. 今はソースを絡めるだけですね。Okay. Okay. And so right now we're just getting our ribs nice and covered in the sauce, bringing that back to the main kitchen area. So Ken-san in the video, he's gonna sauce those up for us, while Fujiwara-san shows us some really interesting. I mean, these sides are just beautiful. 惣菜も興味深いですね。プレゼンテーションはとても綺麗です。これは何でしょうか、惣菜。これは一口サラダみたいな感じで、スライスキュウリ、レタスと。Okay, so we've got like a sort of like one bite salad, okay? And so lettuce and paprika, lettuce and cut up paprika wrapped up in some sliced cucumber, some roasted corn, and adding the ribs. 今リブはちょっと山の形をしているんじゃないですか。まあ、食べかける感じ。取りやすい。Okay, stacking them up almost looks like a mountain, and make it really easy to get those ribs off of the top there. そうですね。これお店でも出しますか？
お店ではやってないです。
Oh, okay. So this dish is not served here at the Ichiban restaurant. So this is really a special treat for everybody to learn how to make this on your own, make your own Japanese style baby back ribs. And so what do we have here? Some small tomatoes and okay, and taro potatoes, taro root. Sauce more takuri. That's how you have to have ribs, just drenched in the sauce like that. Right? It looks like it's complete and ready to eat. 出来上がり、召し上がれ。はい。これを作ったら誰が食べたんですか？
自分たちも試食しましたけど。
そうですか。Okay. So they enjoyed those ribs on their own afterwards, and if you would like to enjoy them, you need to be making it at home. So we hope you've had some time to follow along with the video, whether with us or on YouTube. You can skip around and take your time if you need to. What we're going to do is one more time, I'd just like to give everybody some information. So there was the recipe that we used, and we will be taking some questions right now in the Zoom Q&A, where I'm sure people maybe still have utensils and things like that, so we've got a little bit of time. But if you have any questions at all, go ahead and post those to the Q&A section of Zoom, and we'll be talking with Chef Fujiwara about your questions. Again, Ichiban Japanese Restaurant is located at 1831 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-962-9884 if you're craving some authentic Japanese food and want to know their hours or what they have available. And again, another thank you to the sponsor of the Japanese Tennessee Kitchens Japanese Style Series, the Mitsui USA Foundation. And also thank you very much to the generous support of JAST's corporate sponsors, helping them with their mission. Okay, now I'm going to just come full screen for a moment so that we can get into our Q&A session. Okay, and maybe while we're waiting for some questions to pile up, Fujiwara-san, I understand you've been a chef a long time. Chef of Maritsu.
83年からですから。
そうですか。So since 1983, so 37 years a chef, and right here, just in the Tennessee area. We're so lucky. Okay, and when did you know that you wanted to be a chef? Chefになりたいと思った。
シェフになりたいと思ったのは、はい、そうですね。まあ料理が好きだったんで、まあ自分で作った料理を食べたときに思いましたね。
ああ、そうですか。これしかない。Okay, so he always liked cooking, and through eating the things that he made on his own, and thought, okay, this is what I want to do. This is all there is being a chef. Okay, great. Oh, and it looks like we've got some questions that are coming from the audience. Our first question is, does he remove the membrane that is on the back of the ribs before cutting them? リブを切る前に、後ろ、back of the ribs, I don't know, 皮膚みたいな。
市販のものはついてないですね。
市販のもの、
はい。普通に売ってるのはもう掃除してありますんで、大丈夫ですけども、まあ、肉屋さん行って買うんだったら、多少、脂身を取った方がいいかもしれないです。
Okay, so for the ribs that maybe you've bought at the proper at the butcher that still have that fat and that membrane on there, it'd be better to take them off. Videoで作ったのは
撮ってないです。
Okay, but the ribs that we saw them prepare in the video, they did not take it off before cutting them. Okay, and next question, which I think I can answer just from having seen the video, but we'll see. Did you make the sauce in the same pan that you cooked the ribs? Yes, so that same pan, that same frying pan, yeah, just leave it as it is and cooking the sauce in that same frying pan. Okay? Is there a noticeable difference between basic store-bought ribs and premium ribs? 自分がスーパーで買うものはその高級なプレミアムのリブ何が違いますか？
一緒だと思いますけどね。
まあこの作るのは。Okay, so thinking of they'd be about the same, especially for making this dish. Okay. Next question. Just keep them coming, guys. This is great. This is a good pace. Do people in Japan eat barbecue ribs? 日本食べますね。あ、そうですか。
結構食べます。
Yes, they do. 日本に例えばテネシーのようなバーベキューさんはあまり想像できないんですけど、でもスーパーで買って家で作る。
日本の場合はやっぱ塩コショウとあと醤油かけたりですか。そんなにバーベキューソースっていうのはしないですね。
Yeah. The thing though that would be different in Japan is not having maybe some of the same barbecue flavors, barbecue sauce flavors that would be used to here, and maybe do something like we saw in the video, or use a soy sauce for the sauce that you put on the ribs. Okay. So 藤原さんはまたこういうビデオに出ていただきますか？大変勉強になりましたらしい。
はい、ぜひ機会があれば。
Okay, there's a chance of that. There's a chance of that. What you would want to do, this is the beginning of the start of this series, the Tennessee Kitchen's Japanese style. And so if you follow the Japan America Society of Tennessee on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, again, Japan America Society of Tennessee, or JAST for short, find them out there on the social medias and give them a follow, and you will get the information about what these upcoming series are and maybe what we would do in the future. Okay. So in the recipe, we have 1.5 ounces of sugar. 砂糖は 1.5 オンスまたは45ミリ書いていますけど、これは大さじかさじにすれば
大さじ1杯。
1 tablespoon? Have I got that right?
大さじです。
大さじ。1 teaspoon. 小さいの。
ティースプーンだと3ですかね。
3 teaspoons or tablespoons. You have to forgive me, folks. I don't cook. So even when I hear the things in English, tablespoon, teaspoon, big one, the big one. Okay. 15 milliliters. The teaspoon by itself is 15 milliliters. Okay. So we would need 3 of those. It's a math thing. 45 milliliters times 3 of the teaspoons. Okay. What is the conversion of ounce to sugar? Okay, I think we've been talking about that. All right, so our next question, how long do you cook the pork after you put them back in the pan with the sauce? With the sauce. じゃあソースがあって、リブもまたもう一度入れて、それはどのぐらい炒めますか？
いや、もう戻してすぐ火を止めてしまって、あとはもう絡めるだけ。
はい。So in the video, after the sauce was made and they put the ribs back in, they turned the heat off. And it's not so much a matter of cooking them in the sauce as it is getting them nice and covered in the sauce that you've already made. Okay. Is there such a thing as barbecue sushi rolls?
いいですね。今度やってみます。
he'll try it. He'll try it. じゃあ結果もうand let us know how such a thing turns out. How such a thing turns out. So that might be a better question for Google at this moment to see if anyone else has done it. じゃあググって誰か挑戦したかどうかちょっと調べて。Someone else says they've had barbecue eel, unagi. バーベキューうなぎの寿司を食べたことがあるらしい。
はい。
はい。
そうですね。うなぎは結構今がかかってます。
そうですね。Yeah. So that could work with the eel, with the unagi. Okay. 1 tablespoon, which is the big spoon, equals 15 milliliters or 1/2 of an ounce. Okay, so going back to how much sugar, 1.5 ounces of sugar, and so that's where we're getting the three tablespoons. We've got our great assistant Mari-san here on the math. K-san, good at this, really helping us out. Okay, so folks, you can just keep those questions coming, and anything you've made at your home with any sort of sides that you've prepared, we're interested in seeing those. Go ahead with your phone, snap a picture, and share it with us, with the Japan America Society of Tennessee on Twitter or on Facebook. We're curious as to what type of dishes you all have prepared out there. And in the video, Fujiwara-san, you all were using a gas stove, but what about for folks with an electric stove? Is there anything special they need to do?
変わりはないですけども、ただ火がつくことはないですね。それで安全なんで電気でやっても変わりません。
Okay. Nothing special that you'd have to use on an electric stove. You don't get that fire, so maybe it's a little bit safer. But in terms of the heat levels that we had during the presentation, nothing changes with that. Okay, and just keep those questions coming, and we'll get to those. And maybe we'll ask Fujiwara-san just a little bit about his technique. Do you have a favorite ingredient? 好きな材料は。
好きな材料ですか。
はい。
まあ何でも好きなんで。一つ選べって言われても困るんですけどね。
Tough to name just one. Tough to name just one.
その気になって。
はい。
はい。
じゃあお店で人気のあるものが。
お店で人気のあるもの。はい。まあ結構ロールですかね。
Sushi roll.
はい。
Yeah. Americans are really loving sushi. So that was one of the questions. One of the most popular dishes here at Ichiban, and so sushi is quite popular. And I think Ichiban is well known for the sushi that they make. Okay. So someone looks like they're about to put in the Jack Daniels. 今から Jack Daniel を入れそうな方がいらっしゃいますけど、is it really going to flame that high? 火は本当にそのぐらい高くなっちゃうんですか？
いますね。
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, there's going to be the flame just like we saw in the video. So please be careful at that step. Okay. And just keep the questions coming. I think they've been pretty good so far. So Fujiwara-san, you and your staff got to eat the ribs. 作ってから食べられました。スタッフの皆さん。味の感想はいかがですか？あ、そうですか。So they were the lucky ones who got to eat those ribs and then come back later and tell me how delicious they were. And do you make this outside of this presentation? Like at home? 家でもこういうリブ、スペアリブ作りますか？
そうですね。あんまり作らないですけど。
あ、そうですか。So that 今日は本当に特別な。
そうですね。
Today's very, very special presentation of those baby back ribs with the Tennessee flair. Okay. And we've kind of talked about. So we talked about what went well with Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels と青フロリ話しましたが、酒の場合、何が合いますか？そう、相性がいい料理は。
酒は何でも合いますね。
あ、そうですか。
食べ物全部合います。
酒 can go with anything.
はい。
そうですか。
今日は万能です。
Used for many different things. Okay. And let's see if we could get some more questions about the dishes we made here today. I'd like to ask those, especially just in the little bit of time we have. Anything else about today's presentation? And you know, at the end, we saw those really nice looking sides, and maybe could you tell us anything about those? ビデオに出た惣菜について、
はい、
作り方など。
作り方ですか？
はい。
そんなに、手の込んだことはしないでもいいと思うんですけども、まあ、サラダと、あとコーンですよね。コーンは茹でて、ちょっとグリルで焼いたものです。
Okay, so boiled the corn first and then grilled it. Okay. Someone is asking, could you walk through those cool cucumber salad bites? Those looked amazing. クールなキュウリの作り方。
キュウリを長くこう手にして薄くスライスしなきゃいけないですね。
Okay, so the cucumber is sort of standing up and このように slicing.
そうちょっと切れないんですけど、こうですね。
Okay, like this, yeah. Okay.
それで薄く切ってそれで普通のミックスベジタブルありますよね。
はい。
あれとパプリカを、スライスして巻いてあります。
そうですか。So slicing the cucumber very, very thinly, longwise, and then taking whatever your favorite vegetables from like a mixed salad or mixed vegetables that you can just buy at the supermarket. And in the video, they had the cut up paprika and just wrap those. And you could put in some blue cheese or some other flavoring that you might like. Okay. Okay. So what other questions do we have? And again, we're trying to keep the questions to mainly what we saw here today. じゃあ、藤原は作るのは好きな料理は、
好きな料理ですか？肉料理が好きですけどね。
そうですか。So we had the question, what kind of food do you like to make? And meat dishes. じゃあ、リブが出来上がったら、食べるまで、ちょっと待って、冷やす。まあ、暑いじゃないですか、食べるには。どのぐらい待てばいいですか？
いや、熱いまま食べてほしいですね。
そうですか。So really, they're best eaten while they're still hot. じゃあ、ビデオで作ったのはすぐ食べちゃったの？
はい、美味しいと思います。
So the ones that they made in the video, as we've said, they were the lucky ones who got to eat them, and they just sort of after closing down that video, started eating them. Okay. Someone asked, what is the total cooking time for today's dish?
そうですね。ボイル時間によりますけども。
Right. So that would depend a lot on how long you're going to boil the ribs. As we said in the recipe, 30 to 45 minutes just on the boiling, but you could boil them up to 1 or 2 hours if you wanted really tender ribs.
あとはもうそんなに時間かかることはないですね。
そうですね。So other than the boiling, the time it would take would be almost, videoを見たままそのぐらいの時間。Just about the same amount of time that we saw in the video. Like maybe 15 minutes or so that they spent there. The video itself runs about 13, 14 minutes. So really not a long time once the boiling process is done. Okay. Great questions. So we've talked about some of the side dishes. 他のそのジャック・ダニエルのスペアリブと相性がいい惣菜は？
そうですね。ブルーチーズとか、結構何でもいけると思うんですけどもね。
そうですか。So we're thinking maybe what kind of other sides would go well with this baby back rib dish, and we're thinking some blue cheese or really almost anything. Whatever you like, and again, maybe share on social media what your sides were with a picture, or tell us what you think worked out really well for you. And you can keep the questions coming, folks. If we don't have any more questions, we'll give it another 2 minutes or so. Another 2 minutes, so make sure to get those questions in that time if you want to keep having this discussion with Chef Fujiwara, master Japanese chef who's been a chef his entire career, and also a long time at Ichiban. Ichiban no Nagane.
そうですね。
ありますよね。
23年。はい。23年。
23 years.
はい。
As the owner of Ichiban?
はい。
Oh, wow.
その前から働いてました。テイクオーバーしたのが23年。
Okay. So 23 years as the head chef, master chef, and owner of Ichiban, but was working at the restaurant a few years before that, but then took over the ownership of it. Okay. So folks, we'll leave you about 1 more minute or so for questions. Okay. じゃあまずなぜテネシーに来ましたか？ Why come to Tennessee?
他のお店がオープンするときに日本で
そうですか。So in his career, he was actually hired in Japan for someone else who was opening a Japanese restaurant here in Tennessee. Okay. So we've got that question. No more open questions. Okay. So folks, thank you all so much for all of your questions. I think we had a really good discussion and got to learn a lot about today's dish and Ichiban and Chef Fujiwara's cooking style and skill set. So Fujiwara-san, arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And again, just as a reminder, follow Japan America Society of Tennessee on Facebook, Twitter, or social media to keep up with future presentations of Tennessee Kitchen's Japanese style. And thank you again for attending and your questions. This video will be made available on YouTube, so share it with your friends, and we'll see you sometime later. はい、じゃあね。